All right. So I have back on the pod Reginald Gilchrist. I call him Reggie. He's also known as Godless Reggie, which you can find on TikTok, YouTube. Please check him out. He talks about dope content. He's back on my pod today to talk about something that I had no idea took place in his life until I was on another pod that he was doing on his channel, and I found out and asked him if he would be so kind and generous to share his life with me and the rest of y'all. So, Reggie, I need you to please tell us in the world about a disastrous part of your history.
Okay. Thank you for having me. So the way the conversation was going, I was talking on a stream of mine. It was a religious stream. I don't really remember exactly which one it was about because I do them quite frequently. So what I had said was I was telling everyone that was watching that at one point in time in my life I was very religious, right? And I was giving them an example why I was religious. I was what you would call jail religious. I grew up in a Christian household. We went to church on and off. Not all the time. We had periods of time where we did. But this particular story kind of made me very, very religious. So in 2008, and before I get this story started, um, this is a true story, but I'm going to have to change some of the names of the people involved to protect the innocent, to protect people that are no longer here with us. Rest in peace to them, and to try to keep a little bit of the bullshit and beef down. So, in 2008, and I'm gonna sum this up because this is a very long story. In 2008, um, around that time in my life, to sum it up, especially anybody watching this that knows me, I was off the fucking chain, off the motherfucking chain, and I'm being very, very mild by telling you that there wasn't too much that I wouldn't do. Right? I used to drink every fucking day, nonstop. That was all I liked to do. I would plan it. Um, I looked forward to it, and I really don't know what I would have did without it. At that time. Now that I look back, that sounds completely ridiculous. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing as a man. Um, I wasn't taking care of my child the way I was supposed to do. I caught myself selling drugs. I wasn't very good at it. At the time, I ended up indulging in it. Um, So I really was my best fucking customer. Um, I was fucking up. Bottom line, I was fucking up. So when you have that mentality and you got a kid and shit, and you got responsibilities, you start, getting desperate. Even though I could have just easily and just went to rehab and got myself clean, but I didn't really feel like that was an option. I wasn't as smart as I am now. I'm not saying that I was completely stupid, but I was more concerned with having a good time. Drinking is a part of my family, and I'm not talking about my mom's family. They don't drink all like that. But my father's family, that's what they do. All of them. It's a part of us. It's just something to do. So I had ended up meeting a friend. We'll say that. I really don't want to go into detail about this person. I'll call them Buck. That's not their real name, but he was a person that I used to hang out with a lot. I used to drink with a lot. I used to buy weed with a lot. I used to smoke weed with a lot. I used to play the game, like video games and shit with him a lot. I generally just used to hang with him a lot. So when I first met him, he kind of was in a good situation. He was selling weed. Um, he was on top of his shit. So he had a family or whatever. And, you know, at those times, No matter what you was doing, eventually your family gonna want you to stop doing that. And at that time, weed was very illegal at the time. It's not now. Um, then you could actually do some serious time for weed. So it was more valuable. So, he had it. What I did was I sold CDs and DVDs and shit. And I know that sounds very corny these days, but at the time it was a pretty lucrative business. It got played out. A lot of people started doing it. Again, my hustle wasn't working how it was supposed to because of the choices I made. Uh, he ended up getting this job, working a lot to the point where he wasn't ever at home. So he felt like maybe he should go back to hustling. So when he decided to go back to hustling, it wasn't working for him, right? And at the time, I had I was getting in trouble and shit too. So I was like doing shit like I got caught with a gun. I became a felon. So it was hard for me to get a job at those times. Now, uh, things are different. Most places will hire you if you got a felony, unless you a thief or you a pedophile or some shit like that. And obviously my crime wasn't nothing like that. It was just carrying a concealed weapon. I thought that I was tough. I thought that I needed a gun. I didn't really have no serious beef back then, especially when I got caught around the time when I got caught with that gun. Now I look back at it, and I'm a little bit nervous talking about this shit. So excuse me. Um, I had got caught with a gun, so it was a little tough for me to get a job, and I also had a lot of pride. I still do. Um, you wasn't catching me. You still ain't. You wasn't catching me working at no fast food restaurant or nothing like that. At the time, I felt like I was too good. Um, Now that I look back, I was foolish because is it more embarrassing to be broke or work at a restaurant? But I'm older now, so. But make a long story short, um, things wasn't working out. My baby mom was complaining to me. It was obviously that I had problems. It was obviously I drank too much. That was just obvious, even to me. So something had to give. Part of the reason why I started picking up with the drinking a lot is because once I got caught with the gun, I had I couldn't smoke weed no more because I was on intense probation and I would have literally went to prison. So I quit instantly and I began drinking a lot and shit like that and being curious, trying powder and shit, just being fucking stupid, just being young and dumb, being stupid. Because I was getting some fucking money before that. I mean, I was getting some serious money. I was selling powder, I was selling pills, selling X pills, and this one it was worth $25. So I was on. But kicking it too hard, being lackadaisical, refusing to go to work because I think I could just hustle forever, being stupid, fucking up, end up, just being a bum ass nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't like it. Um, I felt like I needed to do something. I needed to find a way out or whatever. And again, I was young. My mind is not the same way it is now. I ain't really have no fear of nothing like that. So I'm thinking like shit. Everybody else out here talking about hitting licks and shit. I didn't heard about people, robbing people and coming up. Most of the drug dealers I really knew, either they got a SSI check, which I couldn't get, or they didn't hit a lick. So I started thinking about, well, maybe that's what I need to do. So as I was talking to this former friend of mine, Buck, we'll call him, right? He was thinking about the same thing too, because once he quit that job, he was trying to go back to hustling and it was not working out good for him. And it wasn't because he had issues like I did. It just wasn't working out. When you start hustling and shit, you can't just, all right, one day I'm gonna start selling drugs or I'm gonna start selling weed. It don't work like that. You got to go out there and really put in the footwork. And what I mean by that is you have to find people to sell it to. You have to really throw yourself on people like, hey, I got it. You got to really be like an annoying person. And if you're the type person that got a lot of pride and you feel like, I'm not going to hound people about my shit, you'll sit on it. And that's anything. You can't, it's not easy. People think that you can just like, oh, well, I can just sell. No, it's not. It's not that easy. You got to be good at it and you got to know people. And if you don't know no fucking body, forget it. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't working out for him. So he had a family. I had a family, and we was talking about, well, maybe we need to hit a lick. I'm not the type person that ever done robbed somebody before. I've never been robbed, and I've never robbed nobody. Right? So that's another thing. Right? People that rob people, we look at it like it's easy. It's not. You gotta know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, things can happen. And even if you do know what you're doing, things can happen. But when you're desperate, your mind is fucked up. You young, you stupid. You think like that. So he knows people that obviously I don't know. I'm not originally from Ohio. I've been in Youngstown most of my life, but I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm from Sharon. So there's a lot of people I don't know. There is a lot of people here I do know, but there's a lot of people I don't know. So make a long story short, well, a long story long. He knew somebody that he could talk to about setting somebody up to get robbed. Now I don't know who these people are at the time. I've never met them. I wasn't there during the conversations. What was coming back to me was he has a cousin. We'll call her Betty. It's not her name. That knows people that comes to her house. That, as we say, sets up shop and hustles out her house. Now I don't know at the time that this person is a person that's on drugs. I don't know that. It's not important for me to know at the time. I feel I wish I would have known, but I didn't know that. In my mind, when I'm hearing this, I'm thinking that this person is a hustler too. I don't think that this person is a dope fan, right? Now it makes sense, right? So he's telling me that she has people that comes to her house, XYZ. So the conversation is going on between me and him, and then when I'm not there for a few days. Now I don't know exactly what's happening because I'm not there. I do know what he's telling me. So after probably like the second or third day, he talks to me about the situation. He tells me that there's some dude that be coming over there that be having all his money on him, all his dope on him, and all his weed on him, and he don't never have no gun. So when he tells me this shit, I said that don't sound right. He like, what you mean? I'm like, I don't know nobody that's gonna do no shit like that. Nobody, right? So he like, well, that's what she's saying or whatever. So I don't really know again what the conversation is between him and his family member because again I'm not present. He's going over to her house, but what he's telling me is that she does not allow anyone to come to her house and park their car in her driveway and play their music and shit. That's what he's telling me. He's also letting me know that there's going to be another person there, but he's not saying what the person's name is because again I'm not asking, right? So again, he's going back and forth over there having these conversations, right? So this was about almost 17 years ago. So a little bit of it is getting kind of blurry, and that's the part that's getting blurry because I really don't remember exactly what those conversations were between me and him. I just know that there's going to be somebody there that don't got no gun. I know for a fact he has guns in his house on his possession. I don't own a gun at this point because I had already got caught with a gun. So I know if I get caught with another gun, I'm gonna have to go to prison. So there's no reason for me to have no gun. Once I got caught with my first one, I'm like, cool. I'm not I'm not fucking with it, right? So Monday comes around, or yeah, it was on a Monday because I remember it was St. Patrick's Day, and again, I was a very heavy drinker. So even though me and him were talking about this shit back and forth indirectly, and no names were being said, I really wasn't anticipating on doing it because what I said to myself was, I'm not going outside that day because I knew I was going to be drinking, and more than likely, I was probably get pulled over by the police or something like that and get caught getting a DUI. So I said to myself that I wasn't going to go nowhere that day. But I changed my mind once I talked to him because he basically said that I didn't have to do anything as long as I was there. He split the money with me, right? So at this point, while we're talking back and forth, I'm making it clear to him. I'm like, well, that's cool, but don't shoot nobody while I'm there, right? And I say it just like I'm saying it like this, right? In a playful manner, but I'm serious as fuck. You know what I mean? I'm like, don't, I already got these couple years hanging over my head. I already got caught with a gun, bro. Like, don't, you know. He's like, no, it's cool. I got you, man. Shit, just as long as you ride over there with me, and all that. So I'm like, cool, right? Because he making the situation just very minimal for me. Like, I don't know this motherfucker. I don't got to do shit. All I got to do is come over there. Cool.
Say less.
Say less. Say less, right? I'm feeling bad about this before it happened. I'm nervous about it because I'm thinking, like, this sounds a little bit too good to be true. Because I don't know nobody that stupid to just ride around like that. You know? Me not knowing that this person is a kid, basically.
How old were you at the time?
26.
All right.
He literally went to school with my brothers and sisters. I didn't know that at the time. We'll call him Dylan. It's not his name, but we'll call him that. I don't know nothing about him and the person who shot him and killed him that day. Didn't know nothing about him. He just knows who's gonna call him to that house because it's his cousin, right? And his cousin has we'll say roommate. It was more like a kid from the neighborhood that she watched grow up. I know this now, but at the time, I've never met none of them before in my life, right? So I don't know exactly, you know, what's going on. Like I said, I'm gaining this information now, 16 years later, right? But I didn't know that then. So we'll skip forward a little bit back to the day it happened. So again, I have that conversation with him about don't shoot nobody while I'm in my presence, right? He tells me everything's cool. I got you. As long as you're there, we can split the money, right? So, like around 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock that night, he calls me and he asks me, am I ready to go over there? I tell him, yeah. Now, right before I left to go over there, my baby mom, two of her friends had just so happened to come over, right? So I end up going straight over to his house with my baby mom's car. So I get over there, it's him and his wife and kids and shit, right? So then we start talking about the situation. Now, I told him before that I don't want anybody being harmed in my presence. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want nothing to do with this shit. This is when the first 48 and all that shit was real popular. and I used to watch it all the time. And I used to watch how people used to get caught and shit. So I was thinking about that shit the whole time. I'm like, I don't want nobody seeing my face. I don't want nobody knowing my name. None of that shit, because I don't want none of this shit coming back to me. Because again, he's making this shit seem like all
Too
I got,
easy.
yeah, like all I got to do
Too
is just be
easy.
there for moral support.
Right, right, right.
I don't think that nothing bad is gonna happen, but I think something it could. You know, I done lived in the hood most of my life. I know shit could happen. You know, so I go over there. When I get there and shit, this motherfucker pulls out a big ass fucking SK. It's standing like this tall, right? It's leaning up against the wall. He's like, "Here, Reg, you can take this if you want to." I'm like, "Hell no!" Like, I ain't touching that. I'm like, I told you before. I've already got cases hanging over my head. I'm not touching no gun. Again, I'm watch first 48. I know that it don't take two guns to rob one motherfucker. So I'm like, nah, bro. That's not what we talked on the phone about. So nah, that miss me with that. Right? So he like, all right. So I know that he has handguns. I know that for sure. Right? So I tell him to, do what you do. But I don't want to be in possession of anything. So like, all right, cool. So I tell him like, I don't want my face being seen. So he gives me like a do rag, a bandana do rag. It's blue, I think. I can't remember, that part is getting a little bit foggy too. But I know he gives me one. I know I get it from him. So we get in his truck. He got an SUV at the time. I forget what kind. And we go over there, and it's on the east side of the city that I live in. I had never really been to this neighborhood before. I rode past it, but I never had really been over there like that. I really don't want to say the name of the neighborhood, but I hadn't really been over there all like that before. So we get there, and I start feeling like exactly how I feel like right now, like real nervous and like funny. So we pull up, and he goes to open up this door to get out, and I just sit there. He like, the fuck you doing? I'm like, shit, I don't want that motherfucker seeing my face, right? He like, I ain't gonna say your name. And then I just pause and I sit there and think for a minute. And right there, if I would have went with my first mind right there, I would have never got caught. Never. Because that's exactly what happened. They end up seeing my face, right? And that's how they end up identifying me. But that's later down the line. So
So you did not have the do rag bandana on at this time. You just had it with you.
I just had it with me. And the reason why is because whoever the person I was going to be, I knew was not there.
Okay.
It kind of was like a pre-game huddle type situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, I didn't want whoever these people were in this house to see my face, because I did not know who was going to be in the house when I walked in. But I knew that if no one ever seen my face, I would be cool. But
Mm-hmm.
I made the wrong decision right then and there. I knew better. I went in anyway. Went in the side. It was like a ranch style house, like a one floor house. And if it do got a basement, excuse me, if it does have an attic, it's one of them real small attics where you have to duck down and shit. So we go like in the side where the driveway at. And as soon as we walk in, that's when I realized that his cousin is a fucking fiend. As soon as I see it, I'm like, oh, this bitch a fiend. Like, hair all nappy and shit, standing on top of her head. She dressed all wild, looking at me like I'm short, looking at me up and down and shit. Eyes all yellow. And then I see this dude in there, and I'll call him Ron, right? And he got a bandage like across his arm that's like covering up his ribs and shit. And he got like all blue and shit on, right? And so soon as I walk in the house with Buck, I walk in the house with him, right? Him, his cousin Betty, and the dude Ron. They walk into another room and leave me in the kitchen. I don't know what the fuck they was talking about, but I'm going to assume 16 years later that they probably said, "Who the fuck is that? If anything happened, he did it." And once I get into it, you'll see why. So look, so his cousin, once they come out the room, they all come out the room together, right? The girl, which was Betty, right? She tells Buck to give her $10. And at the time, um, like I told you at first, when I first met him, he was a baller. But at the time, we both was broke. So he really didn't even. We was so broke, he didn't really want to give her the $10. Like he's like, she's like, damn nigga, I'll give it back to you. What the fuck? Like, so he give it to her. He's like, all right, give my shit back. So the dude with the bandage on was like, shit, I don't give a fuck. That nigga owe me some money anyway. Blah 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 blah, and all this other shit. So he tells me, now I don't know this motherfucker at all. He tells me, he like, well, just make it seem like I'm getting robbed too. I'm like, I don't want to hurt you or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because I see this big ass bandage on him. I don't know what the fuck wrong with you. He's like, just don't hit me right here. I'm like, well, I ain't got nothing to rob you with anyway, so I won't be doing none of that. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, all right. So she calls the dude over there and tells him that she wants the dime, right? Again, they were making it seem like, and this is one part I left out. It's coming back. Some of it's coming back to me. They were making it seem like this motherfucker had big money. You know what I mean? The reason why is because she a fiend. You know what I mean? Like a person that got like an 8 ball or a quarter or something to a fiend, they balling. That ain't
Right,
shit.
right, right.
You know what I mean? So I know that shit now, but at the time I didn't.
You didn't
I ain't,
even know she was a fiend till you got there.
nah,
So
I
that
ain't.
wasn't even in your mind.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm thinking that she just some baller that's set up artist, and we do, we finna get rich or some shit. Like, I'm not knowing that this is some complete backyard bullshit, right? So look, and I need to quit laughing because this is a very serious story. It's just I'm nervous. So they call him, right? He says he's gonna come over in a little bit. So we get back in his truck and we start riding around the neighborhood. Riding around the neighborhood, riding around the neighborhood, riding around the neighborhood, riding around the neighborhood. Again, both of us broke as a joke. So he was like, fuck this shit. I'm not finna keep wasting gas. So he literally parks like next door to the house. But it's a field, like maybe one lot, two lots, lot and a half. More than one. But I don't know if it's two. But more than one for sure. In between. So we sit there for a minute. My stomach hurting a little bit like at the time because I'm nervous as fuck. Right? Because again, I ain't never been involved in no shit like that. I don't do no shit like that. And I don't got no business being there. So I got the mask now, the bandana. He gets some kind of mask. I can't remember if it was a ski mask or what it was. And I can't remember if he got it from there. And I can't remember if he got it from his house. I can't remember. But he has it on. So we sitting in his car talking for a little bit. Then eventually we go stand on the opposite side of the house from where the driveway is at. Again, there's a lot and another lot. So we kind of cut through the grass, right? So we sit laying on the side of the house, and towards the back, if you just look, you can tell when somebody's there. Now we knew that she does, the driveway's kind of long, but we knew that she don't let nobody pull up in her driveway and just bang their music like towards the end. You got to either pull up all the way and cut your lights off or something like that. They made that clear, so they knew. Well, we knew. We all knew exactly where the person Ron was gonna. I mean, excuse me, Dylan was gonna pull his car, and it's crazy. My heart is still beating so fast. It's just like it just happened. So we seen a car coming down the street. This is probably like 8 or 9 minutes after the call took place, right? We see a car coming down the street. It's pitch black dark. Um, it's about 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. It's not.
Now, how long after you called him was this? Was this hour? We talking hours after he called him from that house?
About 9, 10 minutes. It felt like hours, but it was like
Oh,
9 or 10
okay.
minutes.
Yeah, because y'all riding around and all this, it seemed like a long time, but it was
hmm
not.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay.
So the first car we seen come down the street, we thought was him. It wasn't. Right. So the next one that came down, it was, and I can't remember who it was. If it was Betty or Ron, they said it's him, and you could see the lights pulling in the back. Right. So we're both leaned up against the house. I'm scared as fuck. He's closer to the back of the house than I am. So he looks at me in my face and asks me, like, Reg, are you ready? And I say, yeah. The dude pulls all the way back up against the garage. When he does, the guy with the bandage on, Ron, gets in the car with them. They're facing towards the back of the house in front of the garage. And I'm just looking around the side of the house, just looking. And then the guy Buck runs right up at him, pointing a gun at him. I can't remember what kind of gun. I think it might have been a 40. And he's pointing a gun at him, running at him. And I just was stuck because I was so fucking scared. And he just was pointing a gun at him. And I'm trying not to get nervous, so I won't say it for their real names. I almost said it like 3 or 4 times. I keep trying to catch myself. So look, this one it gets serious, right? So he runs up on him and he got the gun pointed right at him, right? And I can see the boy's eyes. His eyes is like this fucking big. And he's just pointing the gun and he's like, get the fuck out the car. Get the fuck out the car. You know what it is, nigga. Get the fuck out the car. Get the fuck out the car. He like, wait a minute, 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 wait a minute. Right? So I'm just sitting there just looking, right? So he tries this move and the move was fucking dope. I give him that, but it cost him his life, unfortunately. This is what he do, right? He's sitting in the driver's seat, right? That's the gun is pointed to his face. He takes his hand and goes boom and slaps it, opens up the door, hits him with the door, and takes off running. When he takes off running, I just see his body turn that direction, right? And once I seen that, I heard boom, 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 boom. I take off running the other direction, right? And as I'm running, all kind of shit going through my mind, right? And the first thing that came to my mind was, where the fuck is you going? You ain't even got no car. So I stop. I turn back around. I go back a little bit, right? This motherfucker come flying past me, running with the gun in his hand like this, looking like Buster Rhymes, running like that. I think I'm kind of athletic and shit,
This you talking about Ron,
but
but okay.
run right past me. Like, come on, Red.
So
Pew.
he survived.
No, 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 no. Buck's the shooter,
Oh,
right? Buck runs past me. The farther we running through this lot, the farther he's getting away from me, right? He gets to the curb, twists his ankle, falls, boom, drops the gun, right? By this time, I catch up to him, right? So he just laying in the middle of the street, getting himself together, dizzy and shit, wiping her rocks off his face and shit. Right? He like, oh shit. I'm like, man, get the fuck up, get the fuck up. So he looking for the keys and shit, right? So he picked the keys up, he picked the gun up. Boom. I jump in the passenger seat. He jumps in the driver's seat. This is exactly what he do. He like, keys, keys, keys. I'm sitting there just looking at this nigga like, he steady, keys. I'm like, oh man, this shit some bullshit. Like, this nigga tripping. He just fucking killed this bruh, right? So he finally fucking gets the keys in the ignition, right? He pulls off. Guess what he say? Reg, which way should I go? I said, nigga, the same fucking way that we came, right? He pulls off, going 20 miles an hour, right? So we leaving from the area that we in. I'm not going to describe it because I'm just not going to describe it. I'm not going to say where it's at. So we pull off. He driving like 20 miles an hour. Make a long story short, we get to a bridge. We crossing the bridge. Here come the police. We going this way. They coming this way. We stop. They keep going. I'm like, because I'm finna jump off the bridge, right? I said, man, take me to your house so I can get in the car and go home, right? So we go to his house. I jump the fuck out. I get in my car. Well, my baby mom car. I go home. Now, my baby mom family had a business. I'm not gonna say what it is, but make a long story short, I knew where a dumpster was at. So what I did was, and I kind of made a couple mistakes at this point too. I made a couple more mistakes right here. When I first got to the house, her friends were still there. I wasn't gone very long. I was gone maybe an hour max. It seemed like days, but it was not even an hour. First got back to the crib. I told her, I'm like, come here real quick. She's like, all right. We go upstairs. I'm like, man, this motherfucking buck is crazy. She like, what you mean? I'm like, man, this motherfucker just shot somebody. She's like, I don't want to hear no more of that. Pew. Take off. I should have never said that. Then another mistake that I made was when I went downstairs, I told her friends that I'll pay you if you throw this bag away. Everything that I had on, I bagged up. I changed my clothes instantly. Um, they wouldn't do it. I ain't have no lighter. I said, let me get your lighter. They're like, no. I was like, let me. I gave them like $5 for it, and they gave me a lighter. That's how bad I wanted it. I went in the kitchen and got some lighter fluid. I knew where this dumpster was at. I took all my clothes and the clothes I had on to take this shit over there and threw it in the fucking dumpster and set that bitch on fire. The next morning, I had braids and shit in a fro, right? The next morning, I dropped her off at work. I was scared as fuck, right? I dropped her off at work. I'm like, well, taking these braids out. As I'm going to sleep, took them bitches out, dropped her off, washed my shit, picked it out, went straight to the barbershop, right? Because I know that they gonna tell. I know they gonna say it's some dude with braids, right? When we went in the house, I left this part out the story. I forgot. When I told you that, I said I didn't want them to see my face. He said that I'm not gonna say your name. So when we walked in the house originally, he was like, "This my dude, X-rated." He just made it up out of nowhere. I don't know where the fuck he got that name from because I ain't never been involved with no X-rated shit with that nigga ever in my life. I don't know why he said that. But I know that they gonna say it's some dude named X-rated with some braids. I know that. So as I'm getting my hair cut, the news come on. Youngstown's latest homicide on cities, blah 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 blah. Now I know the dude is dead.
Okay, before you proceed, I have a couple questions.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna go back to the barbershop and the news as soon as I ask these questions.
Okay.
Y'all coming around the side of the house, dude's in the driveway, Ron's in the passenger seat. Is that correct?
Rod comes out the house and goes get the car. He gets in the passenger seat with him. Yes.
Okay. So when Buck ran to the car, did he have to run around the front of the car to get to the passenger side? I mean, to the driver's side, or was the driver's side closest to where y'all was coming from?
The driver's side was closest to where we was coming from. So he
Okay,
ran right up on him. Like, surprise, surprise. If he
gotcha.
would have been on the other side, he would have had a great chance of probably getting away because he
Were
could have just
his
drove.
windows down?
Yes.
And so when he pointed and dude blocked his arm, right? The gun went flying.
Nope.
The gun got loose.
Nope.
Oh, okay. In my head, I'm thinking when he smacked it, the gun got loose. So Buck still had a hold of the gun.
Yeah.
And then dude opened the door.
And took off.
Did it knock Buck off his? Did it knock him down? Did it knock him off his block? Nothing. It did nothing.
Didn't phase him not a bit. It's like it didn't even happen. It was like a fly. He just brushed it off, just like poof, like when shit.
But dude had already started taking off out of the driveway
He pulled a listen. I don't know how the fuck he got. I don't know how the fuck he got that far away that fast. It was a sweet move.
with the door open.
Put the door open. It was a sweet move, but it cost him his life. He
So
should have.
Buck shot inside the car.
No, no. He shot him as he was running. He got shot 4 times. He got
So
shot.
dude ended up getting out the car and running on feet.
Yes, and honestly, I didn't see him shooting every time. I only seen him pull the trigger once, and I took off running. So that's another part of the story. I misquoted because it's been some years. I didn't see him shoot another time. Since I seen him shoot, I took off running.
As soon as you heard it.
No, I seen him.
Oh,
Then
okay.
I ran. As
Gotcha.
I'm running, I heard. Pow, pow, pow.
Gotcha. So what that was not the mission. Why did he panic for no it's almost like no reason
I don't
for
know.
him to panic like that.
I don't know. But that goes back to what I was saying before, Tia. You have to know what you're doing. That shit is an art. Motherfuckers that do that shit, they know what they doing.
I
Or they was with other people when they did it first and sat and watched and shit. Because you okay, so if you got a gun in your hand naturally and a person resists, your first instinct is to pull the trigger, and you gotta have the reserve to not do that. That's the hardest part. And I'm gonna tell you something else. He got shot twice in the back and twice in the ass. So you know what that means? He stood over him and shot him too. I just ain't see him do it because I ran.
bro, that was not the mission, bro.
Right. And listen to this.
So what did Ron do?
I don't know. I fucking ran.
You left. I got you.
I
I
took the
got you.
fuck off.
I got you. Okay. All right, we good now.
And
We go
plus,
back to
and
the
plus
bar.
that, and plus that was 3 people in front of me that I couldn't see all 3 of them because you got to realize, Buck, all I can see is his back.
Right.
Dylan, I can see his face until he gets too close to him. You feel me? Because I stood right there. I never moved. And then fucking Ron is the third in a row,
Gotcha.
and
Yes.
he's also the least important of the part that I'm looking at anyway. So I don't know what the fuck his weird ass was doing, and I'll tell you why he's weird later.
All right, gotcha. So did you started running when you heard the first shot or when
Mhm.
he opened that door and took off?
When I heard the first shot.
Gotcha.
Because again, I didn't see him stand over him shooting him, but I know he did.
Well, yeah, you heard it.
Hmm.
All right. Now we at the barber shop. The news comes on. Now what happens?
So now I know that he's dead. Because I really didn't know if he was dead or not. He could have, for all I know, he could have shot him a couple times in his leg. I don't know. Because
Or miss.
now I know he didn't miss. I know he didn't miss. So I'll go back some. I'll go back some. So I know he didn't miss. Because look, when we was riding back and shit, we was talking. He's like, man, that nigga was stupid as fuck, man. That nigga was stupid. That nigga was stupid. That nigga stupid. I'm just sitting there like, yeah, he was, whatever you say, yeah, he was stupid. because now I don't know what the fuck on your mind. I don't, I don't know if you gonna pop me now because you think I'm telling you. I don't know what you gonna do. I know you should have popped that other motherfucker. I know that. If you was gonna do that, you should have shot both of them. And I'll tell you why later. I know that. So, and I also know that I don't got no money still after this shit.
And that
So,
was the whole purpose, right?
yeah. So I know you didn't pop this motherfucker and you ain't even take the money. So now I'm like, I really don't know what the fuck you want. So as I'm at the barbershop and shit, I'm thinking of all kind of shit. Then afterwards, I went to go tell my mom. You know what I mean? I went over there and I just knocked on the door. I went in there. I can't remember. No, I might have had the key still at the time. I don't remember. But I had went over there to tell her. She was like, "Oh my god, blah 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 blah." She was scared, but she was telling me I was gonna be all right. And my brothers and sisters, they had came up on a little bit of money. She did too. I think they had gotten some like little accident or some shit. They all had got like a couple little dollars, like 1,500 a piece or some shit like that. So my brother, he was young at the time. Well, they all was because I was only 25 at the time. So my brother, he was like 15 or 16. So he wanted me to take him shopping, and I promised him that I would do it. So after I did that, I had told my mom and shit. I went and picked him up, took him to a few places and shit. And I just was nervous as fuck. Um, I really didn't know what to do. I couldn't tell nobody besides my mom and shit. So, in the midst of me fucking taking him where he needed to go, and I think before I went and picked him up, I had went home. And so I went home. This is when we still had house phones. A lot of people still had house phones at '08. So I looked at the caller ID, and as soon as I seen it, Buck, stupid ass, called my phone like 2 times. So I'm like, this guy's stupid. Like, why would you call my fucking phone, man, after you did that shit, right? But then again, I'm like, well, that's not abnormal for him to call me. So if something go down, that's normal for him to call. I talk to him all the time. You know what I'm saying? So and now I'm thinking like, should I call him back or not? Then I'm like, yeah, call him back because he might think that you on some bullshit. So I call him back. He's like, what's going on, Reg? I'm like, shit. He's like, I'll be through. Click. And he don't live far from me. So I don't know what the fuck is going on, right?
Mm.
So he comes to my crib and shit. We got hardwood floors. This cat walking, pacing back and forth, nervous as fuck. I'm over there making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a butter knife. I don't know if I should stab this nigga with this shit or not. I don't know what the fuck he's on. Like this cat acting weird as fuck. I'm like, man, calm down, bro. You making me nervous. He's like, I'm like, what you gonna do? He's like, man, I'm going out of town. I'm like,
Okay, let me ask you this real quick. Was he also indulging in alcohol and drugs also?
alcohol and weed, but not none.
Okay.
I probably got him to take an X pill here and there, but nah, yeah,
Okay.
nah.
So after this happened, was y'all like on another level with the weed and the alcohol, or
What you
was
mean?
y'all trying to be cool?
What you mean after all this?
After the incident in the driveway,
Listen, we
I
haven't
would.
even got to the good part
Okay.
yet.
Did you find yourself wanting to like indulge more to calm your nerves from that?
Hell yeah, but I still couldn't afford that. I mean, I had a couple dollars,
Okay.
but Tia, you got to understand, this is the very next day. This is less than 24 hours later that
Right.
I didn't been on the scene of a fucking murder. I, I ain't worried about all that. I'm worried about what's gonna happen because I know this ain't going away, and it
Okay.
did not.
All right. So now you just getting back from taking your little brother shopping, right?
Right, I take him
And you're
shopping.
at the crib now with Buck.
Right, so he come over. He tells me I can't remember if I took my brother first or him. I don't remember, but he's telling me that he going out of town. So I'm like, shit, what the fuck you waiting for? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm asking him where he going. He like Columbus. I'm like, I ain't nowhere. Like that down the street. But he telling me that and now this is Tuesday. He telling me he going on Thursday. I'm like, what the fuck is you waiting for? If you call yourself about to dip, they gonna beat and catch you before you leave. So I asked him, do he tell his wife? He say, yeah. I'm like, what the fuck for? You know what I'm saying? But I ain't really thinking about it at the time. So Wednesday comes around, my baby mom takes me out to eat, tell me everything gonna be okay. During this time, I'm coaching her. I'm telling her, like, listen, the police is gonna come over here. I said, and what they gonna use as a bargaining chip with you, which is fake, is they gonna tell you they gonna take your kids. I said they're not CSB. I said they use that tactic on every woman that comes on here. I said, look, watch, we can watch the first 48 again. That's all I used to watch. I made her sit there and watch the shit with me, and they do it. I said that's exactly what they're gonna tell you. I said they're gonna believe what you say because you're not a criminal. We're all criminals. I'm a felon. He's a felon. Everybody involved, we get in trouble. We go to jail. We sell drugs. We're on drugs. You feel me? You're not that type of person. They gonna believe you. So days go by. Another day go by. Sunday just so happened to be Easter. During this time, it was income tax time. Around the time when everybody get their refunds. So my baby mom had a little bit of money. We had got a 50-inch TV at the time. That was something special. Them shits was like $1,500. Now they're $200. But at the time, that was something special. She had ordered a dryer. We needed a new dryer and shit. So she had ordered that. Again, I was well, not again, but I was the type that use your car all day while you're at work, cheat on you while you're at work, and come pick you up type bum ass nigga. So or while you work, I just watch the kid, you know, type shit. So it was the next Monday. I hadn't spoke to Buck in a few days, thankfully. Um, Easter Sunday, kicked it real hard. Got real drunk, real drunk. Um, Hung with her family. Her family, they all celebrate together. Got sloppy with them. Ate real good. Um, the next day, Monday morning, uh, I was. I guess you can't really call it babysitting your own kid, but I was with my daughter. We knocked out. She had a bad habit of whenever she wake up and go to the bathroom or wake up and realize she's in her own bed, she'll come get in the bed with us. So my baby mom was gone, so she knocked out in the bed with me and shit, right? So somebody started knocking on the door. I'm paranoid about the situation still because I know in my mind it's not
They
going.
coming.
Yeah, I know they're coming. I know.
Mm.
So one other thing I left out. Um, the month before that, my father died. 2 months before that, my great grandmother died. So I was going through things. So I was really, really, really going hard, 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 hard. Imitating my father because anybody that knows Big Reggie know that my dad went fucking hard. So yeah, doing that shit. So um, somebody was knocking on the door. I knew that we had a dryer or a washer coming. A dryer, I think. I also knew that more than likely, if somebody come knock on the door, it's gonna be the police. So I ignored it, and they just kept fucking knocking. to the point where my daughter woke me up like, Daddy, Daddy, somebody at the door. And I was upstairs in my room. And I used to sweat a lot because I was bigger. And I used to drink every day. That night, I was drinking hard. And I was sweating and shit. And I looked out the window and I seen a white man downstairs with a fucking blazer on. And I knew it right then and there. I knew if I didn't go downstairs and open that door, what was going to happen too. Because now he knows I'm here. So I go downstairs. My daughter follows right behind me. I put some Sean John jogging pants on. I remember like it was yesterday. Um, I had some boxers on. I ain't have no socks on. I picked up a polo collar shirt like this and threw it on. I don't know why I ain't take the time to put some white shit on because I know what's gonna happen for real, for real. I go downstairs, open the door. They're like, they're asking me, is my baby mom there? But they're asking me about her proper name, just like my proper name is Reginald. I'm not gonna say her name, but I'm like, no, she's not. They're like, is her boyfriend Reginald here? I said, I I am him. But I guess they didn't know who I was because again I cut my hair. And then soon as I said that, they're like, we got him in the front. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, right? So my daughter is behind me. So they're like, we just want to ask you a few questions. I said, okay. So I let him in. I'm nervous as fuck. I sit down on the couch with him and shit. And they started asking me a bunch of shit. They was like, we want to know where you were at last Monday. I said, dear, right here. He like, around like between the hours of 9 and 10 o'clock. I said, here. He was like, because we think that you were on the east side. And I said, nah, I don't go over there. What I'm gonna go to the east side for? Ain't nothing over there for me. He like, well, we think that you were. I said, well, let me ask you a question. He said, yeah. I said, am I under arrest? He said, yeah. I said, okay. I said, can I call her mom to come get her? He's like, yeah. I said, okay. So I stood up, all guns drawn on me. I said, you just said that I can call her. He said, I said you can call her. I said, and then he was like, I didn't say that you could move. I said, bro, my daughter is 2 years old. I'm not gonna let you sit here and fucking kill me in front of my child. I said, I'm only asking you, can I call her mom so she can come get her? They're like, we'll get you the phone. I said, okay. And then I forgot one part of the story. It was this white guy. Well, all of them was white. This motherfucker was like about 6'7" or 6'8". The last one, I guess he was the, I forget the proper name for him. But when I looked at him, like, damn, you look familiar as fuck. I was like, where the fuck I seen you at before? And you know who it was? It was Kelly Pavlik's corner man. If you ever watch some old boxing matches and you see this big, tall ass fucking white boy he got in the corner, that's who it was. I said, you're Kelly Pavlik's corner man, aren't you? He said, yep. I said, I fucking knew it. So they gave me the phone. I called my baby mom and shit. I told her, I'm like, man, you got to come home. She like, for what? I said, because the police here. She like, for what? I said, you got to come home. The police here. So she left her job. She came and got me and shit. I mean, came and got my daughter. Um, After that, it was like, we about to take you downtown to ask you some questions, blah 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 blah, and all this other shit. And they was like, we think that you know something about a murder. I said, no, I don't know nothing about no murder. And like I said, I wasn't on the east side. There's like, we think that you're the least involved, but we know that you was there. So I'm like, damn, how the fuck they know all this shit, right? So um, I ain't had no t-shirt on. I had a collar shirt on like this. I had a big ass fucking state property jacket. This is when dudes used to wear their clothes real big. So I had like a 5X fucking state property jacket on, no socks, some black Reeboks. They took me to I can't remember if they took me to the city jail first or if they took me to the county jail. I can't remember, but I went to both. They took me to the city jail and they tried to ask me a bunch of questions and I just told them I plead the fifth or I want a lawyer, one or the other, but it meant the same thing. So what they did, yeah, they took me to the city jail first, and I told them that I'm not speaking to him without a lawyer. It looks just like how it looks on the first 48. There's a camera that you can see in the room. One sits here, one sits there, and they keep asking you the same questions over and over. And there's another camera you can't see. And I'll tell you how I know, but that I'll tell you that later. So after I told them that I want my lawyer, this is the first time I had ever been to the city jail. I didn't even really know Youngstown had a city jail. I had been to the county jail before, but I never been to old city jail. They put me in this fucking cell with a with one of them old like fans in the window. Like I can't even really like an exhaust fan in the window. And the room ain't have no mat, straight concrete, freezing fucking cold in that bitch. And had me laying in there for like 5 or 6 hours. I guess they thought that shit was gonna crack me. I went in that bitch and went to sleep on their ass. Then I guess when they finally figured that that wasn't gonna make me do shit, they took me to the fucking county jail. Didn't fucking feed me, right? When they took me into the county jail, you got to go in the back door. As soon as I go in there, I see a picture of my co-defendant Buck on the glass windows. All those cells that when you go into the county jail, the glass you can see the whole fucking thing. Right, it'd be like 5 or 6 people in each, but when you like a wanted person or whatever, they only have you one in there. So once I seen the picture of him on it, he was sitting in there. Then he realized it was me when I came in. Then he stood up like, I'm like, right. So now I still don't know what they know about me, right? I forgot one thing. I forgot one part. So when I had went to the city jail, they questioned me a little bit before I got to the point that I said I want my lawyer. And this is how the questions went. They were asking me like where I was at between 9 and 10 o'clock and how I know and this, that, and the third and that shit. So I told them that I was at home. I never left. My baby mom's friends came over. They was getting on my nerves. I went upstairs and was watching the Cav and the Spurs game. And then eventually they left and I went to sleep. And I told her to say that shit too. And I told her that they was gonna tell her that they was gonna take her kids. They called her. They told her exactly that. She said I left around 9. She knew it was around 9 because the news was on. And when I came back, it was off. She knew it was 10. She told her 2 friends, told on me too. They verified the story. Right then and there, that was enough to arrest me because they said I left and it contradicted my story. And they booked me. Now, I didn't know all the other shit that they had on me yet because it takes a few days for you to get what's called your discovery packet. The discovery packet tells you everything that a person said and everything that a person did. So I know exactly who said what and everything. So the way that they knew that it was me, again, because he said my name was X rated, right? So the other 2 people that were involved, right? So when the girl got the dime rock from Ron, uh, no, when she got the from Dylan, when she got the dime rock from Dylan, the victim, she smoked it. And I know that because when I got my discovery packet, I seen that in a police report They could tell by her eyes because when a person smokes crack, like for instance, my eyes, the brown part of my eye is completely big, and you can't see hardly any part of the white part. I know that from when I used to do powder.
They
That's a
call
fact.
that dilated, right?
Yeah, dilated. You can tell. It's obvious.
Gotcha.
So now that I'm sober, I can look right in a person. I can tell immediately. You know,
Where they
if you
high.
want that shit, hell yeah, you can't hide it because you can't see the white part of their eye really, right? So they said that. So they didn't really ask her any questions right then and there. They gave her a basic rough draft and they let her go. They came back and asked her again what happened that night, and they asked the other person what happened that night, and they started playing each other, the two against each other. They started saying one said one thing and the other one said the other thing. So what they did was they asked her, "Do you think?" Now they know what happened because they was there. They asked her, "Do you think that the other one, Ron, would set somebody up for robbery?" She like, "Yeah. Now that I think about it, I see this in the Discovery Factory. Yeah. Now that I think about it, he been saying he needed to pull a lick." She's stupid, telling the police this shit for no reason, knowing bitch you the one that called him. Right? They go back and tell him what she says.
Right.
He tells every motherfucking thing. He tells every fucking thing. First, before I tell you that, the next day, her house, the boy's family set her house on fire and whooped her kid's ass because they knew something was up. Right? So the guy that told everything, he went up to Warren and was hiding because they was on his back too. They wanted to kill him. They still do to this day. Right? So when they told him what she said about him, he told everything. He said it was her cousin Buck. I know he's 30 years old because about 2 weeks before that was his birthday, and it was. And he came over there and asked him, "How old do you think I am?" He told him how old he was. He said what kind of car he had. Again, I'm changing the name to something else, but all they did was take a 30-year-old black person with that name and compared it to everybody with that kind of car in the DMV, put every last one of them, we'll put six of them on a piece of paper. He said, "That's him," circled it, and wrote his name on it. Now they know what the person's real name is. They arrested the girl because he told the police that she called him over there. They arrested him for snitching on himself, and he's not even the one that called him over there. They also told him on camera, because again, when you make these interviews, it's recorded, and I seen the tape. You know, if you make yourself look like you got robbed too, it'll make the story look better. This is the police saying this on camera. This is going to come back later on. Remember this, right? So they tell him that he says that he says the whole story. He says he's with this other dude that's about 6'3", 200 pounds with braids named X rated, right? There's like, what's his real name? He's like, I don't know. I ain't never seen that motherfucker before. He was like, he's light brown, he's tall, he got a big head, and he got braids. Talking about me. But again, I never seen him before. Once they arrest her, she starts running her mouth too. Now they know who he is, and they get a warrant to search and to come arrest him. He called himself the Trigger Man. He called himself going out of town. So what they did was they waited for his wife to leave with that car. That the guy said that we were in. Leave the house. They pulled her over with guns drawn, right? Took the car from her and mind fucked her too. Because the police, this is one thing I want people to understand. The police are allowed to lie. They are allowed to lie. Remember that. So they mind fucked her. They told her because she's like, "Oh, well, I don't got no car to take." my kids to work and school and all that shit, knowing that this car is part of a crime, so you ain't getting the car back. They tell this bitch, oh, well, if you help us find the other guy, we'll make sure we get the car back to you. Knowing good and well you ain't never getting that car back. So she tells them, they like, well, who's this person that's 6'3", named X-rated with braids? She's like, I don't know. Nobody named no fucking X-rated, but he has this friend. Now she knows everything that happened. Stupid
Oh,
bitch.
here we go.
Stupid bitch, right? Now I'm scot free at this time. They don't know nothing. She tells him, well, he got this friend named Reggie. I don't know his last name, but I got his baby mom number on my caller ID. I'll call her if you want me to. They say, yeah. She gives my number. They take the number and figure out who the name is. It's my baby mom name. Years before that, me and my baby mom got into an argument, just an argument, and she called the police. Nothing happened. We didn't break up. That was on file. They had my name. Now they know what my name is because my name is attached to that number. Right? They took that 6-person lineup and 2 of the other people in the fucking lineup I personally know. I'm not gonna say their name. This same fucking weirdo circles a picture. He says, this is him. He's just older now because my birthday was about 2 weeks away. It was time for me to renew my license. So he was right. I was 4 years older. He wrote his name on it. And now they got me. And that's how the fuck I got caught. So back to the beginning. If I would have never went in, he would have never seen my face. He would have never been able to positively identify me. And I would have got away. So now they got both of their testimony. They done offered one of them a deal. Both of them a deal to testify on me in the shooter. You done caught me in a lie. And my baby mom and her friends said I left. Now I'm fucked. Now how am I gonna get out of it? That's the better part of the story. Still here? Yeah.
All right, cool.
So when I went to the county jail, the way the county jail is set up here, right? You got different levels. I didn't know that until I went there for this. I had been in jail before, but I didn't know that they separate the criminals. I thought they put all the criminals together.
I did learn that. My dad taught me that.
Right. So now I'm on the pot with nothing but motherfuckers facing life, hardened criminals, people facing from rape, felonious assault, all kind of fucking weird shit. And most of them is already institutionalized. Luckily, I had a step cousin in there that was institutionalized to teach me the rules because it's different when you're in that part of the county. In the county, I'm talking about the Mahoney County, you got the second floor, which is for murders, K-pot, and you got the fourth floor. And I was on the fourth floor at this time. The way the county jail is set up, it got 3 different levels on each. It's 3 different sides. We all share a gym, so there's a door. So when people on the same floor at rec, you can hear them. Sometimes we'll talk to them. In the pod that's across from you, you can see the glass. So because everybody was running their mouth and shit, they had a separation. We had separate cases, separate lawyers, and things like that. So I didn't really know jail rules. Again, my cousin had to teach me a lot of shit. How to be clean in that bitch, what to do, what not to do. I thought I knew how to play cards. I didn't until I went in there. Um, I learned a lot of shit. I seen a lot of fucked up shit happen to people. I seen a lot of fights. I seen people get thrown off the top tier. Seen motherfuckers get hit with phones, basketball. People fighting over the TV, over the washing machine, over every fucking thing, over checkers, chess. And it's just because people frustrated and shit. Everybody want to go home. Everybody mad because they know somebody fucking their baby mom and shit like that. It's just rough. The food is terrible.
It's
It,
just
it,
frustration on a whole another level.
especially when you face it like the first deal they offered me was like 20 something years. I'm like, for what? I didn't even do shit. So they have all kind of like law books and shit in there, right? They free to read. There ain't nothing else to do. So I started reading a lot of books, the old law, the new law, and I started realizing that the way that the law was set up is you have to willfully attempt to do a crime to get convicted. Complicity means that you helped along with it, right? If it wasn't for you, somebody wouldn't have been killed, or you can be complicit to rob something, things like that. Like I had got charged with 3 crimes. I got charged with complicity to murder. I got charged with complicity to aggravated murder, and I got charged with complicity to aggravated robbery. My stance was I didn't murder anyone. I damn sure didn't aggravatedly murder nobody, and I didn't aggravatedly rob nobody. I ain't even had no fucking gun.
I was just getting ready to say that. How can they charge you? You didn't. There's no gun involved when it comes to you. No prints, no nothing.
No nothing. But again, they told his ass to say that he got robbed too. Now, one part of the story that I forgot from the beginning was he had a chain on and it had a cross on it. And that's gonna come back to play. I remembered that part. He had a chain and he had a cross on it. Now, when I went to jail at the time, I was on probation. For a gun charge that I had about 2 years before that. So I had got 2 years probation and I had another year left at the time. So I violated from catching that. So what they did was they told my PO to come talk to me. And what my PO said to me was, "Oh, they just hit you with that murder spec because you lawyered up on them." So he went and talked to my mom too, and he told my mom to tell me just to talk to him. And remember, I told you the police allowed the lie. He told my mom to tell me if I just tell him what happened, they'll drop the murder spec. And if you ain't used to being in jail and you don't know how the police and lawyers and prosecutors and shit act, you will think that they trying to help you if you stupid. And at the time, I say I was definitely stupid because again, I just sat here and told you a little bit ago that I used to be watching the first 48 so I should have knew this shit anyway. But it's different when it's you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I don't know that they basically spinning me and trying to get me to do their job for them.
Uh,
Right?
uh.
So later on, about 2 or 3 days later, after I had sat in there for a while, I had decided to listen to what my mom told me to do, and I shouldn't have did that. So I sat there and told them basically everything that happened, right? And that didn't benefit me in any way. They still charged me the same thing, right?
Right.
They still charged me with the same thing. That didn't change the situation. My bond didn't get reduced. My bond was still $1.5 million. I was not getting the fuck out of there. My face plastered all over everywhere, looking crazy, all kind of shit. So I had ended up getting this lawyer that a court appointed lawyer that I felt that was a conflict of interest. And the reason why is because, well, before I thought he was a conflict of interest, when I was talking to people in jail and my cousin, they was telling me immediately fire him because he's like has the worst reputation in the city. I'm not gonna say his name, because he didn't fuck around and sue me later on or some shit. But my mom had him before. She said the same thing. My older brother had him before. He said the same thing. And a very, very close friend of the family had him and complained about him too. But I felt in the beginning that just because he fucked y'all over, that don't got nothing to do with me. So I had rocked with him for a while. I had probably dealt with him for about 3 months, and then I just felt like I should fire him. So time's going on. April, I got locked up in March. May, June, July go by. I'm still down there. I can't get out.
Damn.
Um, and I decided to fire him. So I
Are
had
they
to go.
giving you any kind of time frame? Any kind of like it's gonna take this long to see a judge or that, or
Well, you
any time schedules for you? Or you
yeah.
just in there?
Well, you have the right to be tried and convicted within 90 days,
Oh, okay.
unless you sign a time waiver or you fire your lawyer. In my case, I fired my lawyer.
Oh,
So I end up
damn.
around my 90 days, I fired him, or a little, or like close to it.
Okay.
So I had to go to court, and the judge was going off on me too. She was the same judge that I had before. I'm not gonna mention her name. She was the same judge I had from my previous case. So she probably was like, "Man, I'm tired of this motherfucker. He ain't gonna learn. I'm gonna book him because they have all the information about your crime and shit. So they know, they kind of know, well, they think they know if you're gonna win or lose. So I fired my lawyer. She was like, do you think that you know what's best for you? Do you got money to buy yourself another lawyer? Do you do you think that you can represent yourself better? And I told her, I'm like, no disrespect, Your Honor, but I just feel like it's a conflict of interest because my mom, my brother, my close family, they all have bad results. And I think that if I go with him because he's trying to get me to do something that I'm not willing to do, I'm not going to do it because he had offered me 20 years, 10 and 10, to be ran what we call as wild back to back with a 3 year gun spec. I said, I'm not doing that. I said, I'm not doing that. I said, if I have to get convicted of a crime, if I have to come up here and represent myself, if that's what I have to do, I'm not doing that. I'd rather come back on appeal. I'm not doing that shit. I said, he's just trying to get his money and go about his business. I said, he's not trying to help me in no way.
I feel like that happens a lot.
It do. And if you don't stand up for yourself, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You feel me? And I had to tell her, I said, this is my life. You
Great.
feel me? And she's like, okay. I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to make this story because, like I said, we can be talking for hours about this shit, but I'm trying to wrap it up. I got at
No,
least a,
don't. Hey, we got time. We good.
I got at least a whole another hour worth of shit to tell you. So look, time is going by, right? I'm going through shit. I'm losing all kind of weight. I'm getting back in shape. Um, when I first went in, I couldn't even play a game to seven in basketball. By this time, I played 30 games straight. If we got to shit, I'm getting into a couple of fights, scuffles, and shit. I'm running into the person's family and shit, and just geopolitic fights and shit. So once I fired my lawyer, what she had told the head of the bar association for the county I live in, I'm not gonna mention him either. He had told one of the most famous lawyers in my city, in my town, and I'll tell you about him later. I personally know I can call him right now. I'm not gonna mention his name because maybe one day we can have this story again, right? But he had told him, now this lawyer, he's really primarily a lawsuit lawyer. He paid. Um, he's like family. I know his wife. I know his kids. I know his mother-in-law. This case kind of, well, he already was on the map. I'm not going to act like I made him who he is, but it definitely, helped him and shit like that. But
Catapulted them.
yeah, 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 yeah. But the head of the bar association from my county had told him, if you guys start taking some more of these court-appointed cases, I'll get you some more money. And what he told him was like, okay, I'll do one, but the only way I'm going to do it is if it's a person that wants to take it to trial. So my judge was like, here, Here's a person that wants to take her to trial with a confession. Talking about me. So the day I fired my lawyer and I had my court appoint my date, I was happy because you don't get a chance to go outside when you're in jail. I probably hadn't been outside for 4 or 5 months. It was, whew, it felt good. It was the summertime. I started seeing new buildings that was building downtown and shit. Um, I see this white man walk in, clean as fuck. I mean, clean, clean, right? I'm like, damn, this man look familiar as fuck. He like, how you doing? I got my shackles on. I'm good. I don't want to say his name. I'll tell you off thing, but we'll just say Dave because Dave is his real name. Um, I'm gonna say his last name. I said, oh shit, that's how I know you. 'Cause he got commercials here and shit, right? So he was like, well, man, I'll do the best I can for you, bro. But you ran your mouth. You had this confession probably can get you off, but with this, man, nah, I probably can get you about between 7 and 12 years. Now I got a 2-year-old daughter at home. I ain't hearing that shit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't hearing that. So he's like, I do the best I can for you. So I go home. I mean, not home. I go back to the county. I tell my mom and my baby mom and my family and shit. A couple months go by. One day I had went to court and like a dummy, I was running my mouth. I didn't know any better, and I kind of had freed somebody too. So by the time it was time for me to go to trial, Dave came back and told me, he's like, man, you're fucking stupid. I keep telling you, stop running your motherfucking mouth. There's a court date going on for somebody that you told your fucking case that now you cannot say that you weren't on the scene because he's going to testify against you, a jailhouse snitch, because you ran your fucking mouth and now he's out of prison for you. He's like, Reggie, you got to stop running your motherfucking mouth. Don't tell nobody else your case. You already got 2 strikes against you. You got a confession and you got a person that's going to tell on you and say that you were on the scene. He said, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you, right? He was like, but I do got something for you though. He said, I got something for that fucking Ron character. He's like, I got something for him. I said, what you mean? He said, yeah, that motherfucker said that you robbed him. Yeah, I got something for that. I said, okay. Right. So by the time it's time for trial, he gets it down to where they say they'll give me 13 years, 10 years, and a 3-year gun spec. He tells me that I could probably beat both the murder cases. He said you can beat them. He said, but the ag robbery, you're not beating that. I said, how? I didn't fucking rob him, dude. He like, well, it don't matter if you robbed him or not. He's like, you need to be fucking happy that I'm telling you that they're willing to drop both of them charges for this. I said, listen, if they willing to drop that shit, what make you think that they think that they can stick me on that? He's like, man, they're gonna testify on you and say that you had a gun. I said, but I didn't. Now I knew that that gold chain shit, like I told y'all to remember, that gold chain shit, that he had it downstairs in his possession. I knew by this time, right? I said, but look, Dave, man, like, how the fuck can he say I robbed him and he got a chain still? He's like, I'm gonna say that. He's like, but the girl is gonna fucking say, Reggie, that you had a gun. I said, man, I did not have no fucking gun. I said, go ask her. And she said, she was,
Don't they gotta prove that though? Like, don't there should be a gun with your prints on it somewhere? Is what I'm saying.
yeah, but
Don't
they
they
would,
have to prove that?
yeah, but if it's 2 people saying that you did it, 2 eyewitnesses, it's kind of hard to beat that. You feel me? It's hard to beat that. I'm also known for having guns. I'm also
Because
a
you already
convicted.
on paper for that,
Yeah, yeah. So who you think they gonna believe? You feel me?
right?
So look, so I'm telling him, I'm like, Dave, I'm not fucking doing that shit. I'm not doing that shit. I'm not taking no time for some shit I didn't fucking do. I don't care what you say. I said, I don't care. I'm not doing it. You work for me. Fuck you. I'm not doing that shit. So he's coming down there every day, literally banging his head on the wall, like, you need to fucking listen to me. He's like, dude, I've been doing this shit 25 fucking years, Reggie. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. It got so bad because everyone will tell you I'm hard headed. You know, I do what the fuck I think is right. I don't give a fuck what nobody's talking about. If I don't think it's right, yeah, I'm not doing it. So I told him, I'm like, I don't care what you say. That book say X, Y, Z. He said, so you gonna try to interpret the law to me? I'm a lawyer. He's like, how the fuck you gonna tell me what that shit mean? I said, like I said, like the fuck I said, it say this, and I'm not doing that. So he told my mom, right? So one day we in trial, right? And I'm skipping through a lot of these trial dates because it's a lot. He convinced the judge, and this is gonna be hard to believe, but this is true. He convinced the judge to let my mom give me a piece of paper in trial, and she gave it to me. I opened it up. I think she might have put it in a Bible because somehow I had a Bible. I think that's what happened. I can't fucking remember. It said, Reggie, I love you, but I don't have 38 years of life left in me. I got 13 years left. I do think that if you need somebody to help you, I can probably live another 13 years. I can help you best as I can. Blah, 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 blah. But you need to go ahead and just give it up. And I looked right at my mom and balled that shit up right in her fucking face. Like, hell no. I said, because if I sign my name on that piece of paper, I have to live by it.
Right, right, right,
If I
right,
get convicted, I'm going to have one hell of a fucking appeal.
right.
I'm going to have one, right? So, another thing that I'm skipping, and I want people to know this too, right? So, when you go to pick your jurors, it's a process of elimination, right? So, out of 90 or 99 possible fucking jurors that I had, and you got to remember, the person who is the boss is me. The lawyer's not the boss. He works for me, right? He do what I say. There was one possible black person in Mahoning County, one out of 90 or 99 fucking people, to the point where we even had conversations about it. He's like, he was telling me that that the prosecutor couldn't get rid of him just because he's black and I need to try to keep him. I'm like, no shit. And then I had even got into it with my lawyer about a particular uh,
Juror.
juror that I didn't like, and he
Okay.
did, and that he did, and this is why I didn't like him. And to me, this should be obvious, right? I didn't like him because he was a business owner, and he told everybody that he'd been robbed at gunpoint before, and so I told him get rid of him. Also, he had asked him, do he like his tie? Because again, my lawyer, he'd be sharp, and he told him no. And while everybody else did, I said he don't fucking like you. And this is about a fucking aggravated robbery murder case. I said, he gotta fucking go. He's like, Reggie, again, I've been doing this 25 years. I said, I don't give a fuck. He gotta go. I made him get rid of him. But my whole point is, when it's your life, you can't let nobody tell you what the fuck is best for you because they don't know for real. They don't know. It's your life. So by the time trial started, I knew that the only way I was gonna be able to possibly do this shit is two things. I was gonna have to lie a little bit, and I was also gonna have to take the stand in my own defense. Um, it's not the easiest thing to do, especially when you're religious. At the time, I was religious, and I knew that I was gonna have to lie on the Bible, and I did. Um, so this is what he told me. He told me that there's a law in Ohio, and I didn't know this, that it's made to save people's life. So the way that it works is if a crime is happening at any time before that crime happens, if you make it clear that you want out, as long as you do, you can. So what he told me to do was before I took off and running, he told me to say, I'm out. Um, he also told me that when I say that, that the prosecutor is going to ask me, why didn't I tell the police that. And then he said to tell them that they didn't ask me what I said. They asked
Right.
me what
I
I
was
did.
gonna say that anyway.
And then he said the next thing he's going to say to you, did your lawyer tell you to say that? And he said, answer like this. He said, tell him that I told you to tell them the truth. And on everything, that is exactly what the fuck happened. That
Really?
is word for word.
Word for word.
Word for fucking word.
Shut up.
Word for fucking word. He's like, I'm telling you, he's like, just he's like, just stay calm. He's like, stay calm. He's like, but I got that fucking wrong on that motherfucking robbery of that goddamn gold chain. He said, look at this, Reggie. He said, in his fucking possessions, he said that motherfucker got a gold chain and a charm on him, just like you told him, and just like he fucking told him. And look at this tape. He's like, look at this tape. He's like, watch this tape. The police is like, hey, yeah, you know, if you tell them that you got robbed too, you know the story will look better. So you telling this motherfucker to lie on me. You telling him to do it. And he still got this gold chain on, right? So when we get to
That
trial,
you was supposedly had robbed him of. He swore
yeah,
about it.
yeah, right?
What?
Yeah, yeah. So listen. So again, my lawyer, he's nervous. He don't think that he can pull it off. But I'm telling him, I'm like, bruh, you better than what you think. Because I can see what he's saying to people and how stupid he's making them look. He looked like one of us debating with a fucking Christian. You know what I'm saying? He looked like that. So I see what's happening, right? And I know that if you put me on the stand, immediately I'm going to start talking in my Pennsylvania accent. And I know that the person that's going to testify and point that finger at me, I know that he's straight from, I'm not being disrespectful and I'm not
The
saying
hood.
yeah, he's straight from the hood. He's straight from
Gotcha.
Youngstown. I'm not saying that everybody from Youngstown can't speak
No,
properly.
I
I'm not
feel
saying
you.
that they don't. But this is an ignorant nigga I'm talking about right here. He done probably dropped out in like 10th grade. So I know he can't, his vocabulary is not like that. You know what I'm saying? So I know it's going down and I got to be on my A game. So listen, they put this motherfucker on the stand. It was so bad. Well, before they did, the same what they call detective, he keeps playing the tape back and forth of them telling him to lie on me. He's like, well, if this man is so guilty, why the fuck are you telling this man to lie on him? Y- You lying on him. He didn't do shit. Why are you telling him that? He's like, I don't. He's like, I can't explain to you why Reginald decided to go over there. But you're telling him to fucking lie to make your case. That's a shame.
That's
He's
terrible.
he's like, that's a shame. He's like, you'll do anything to make a fucking case, pissing both of them off, right? So they put Ron on the stand. So he tells him, like, well, first he asked him, how long have you known the person that's no longer here? Now the kid was only 18 years old. He like 20 some years. So I'm just sitting there looking at him the whole time. I'm just sitting there staring at him. He getting mad as fuck. He making faces at me and everything like, because I'm staring at him, right? So my lawyer was like, well, asking him like what happened. He said earlier that day he had called him over there to bring him a nickel bag of weed. He never came. And then he said that later on whatever had happened, right? But he said that I robbed him. And he was like, well, if you knew about this beforehand, why would he rob you? He's like, because they flipped the script. He was like, can you explain to the jury what that means? He couldn't even explain what that meant. So I'm just like, damn, this shit bad. Then he asked him, he was like, well, do you sell drugs? He said no. He said, do you have a job? He said no. He said, are you sure? He said, yeah. He said, okay. He said, so you're telling me that Reginald robbed you for $50 and a gold chain? He said, yeah. He said, okay. He's like, I'm gonna ask you one more time. He said, do you have a job?
Or do you sell
He
dope?
said, do you sell
Cause
drugs?
how the fuck you got $50?
He was like, no. He said, so you're telling me that Monday night he robbed you And look at this. He said, look at this. He said, let me show you something. This is interesting. He said, some shoes, coat, belt, chain with a cross on it. Why did you have down in your possessions at the county jail a chain with a cross on it? He said, because it's mine. He's like, man, listen, I'm going to ask you again. He said, do you have a job? He said, no. He said, do you sell drugs? He said, so how the fuck did you get another one on Thursday? He was like, you're trying to make me look like I'm the bad guy. He jumping up, shackled. You're trying to look like I'm the bad guy. When I get out of here, I'm going to kill you. The
He said
jury,
that on the stand?
yeah.
Ooh.
The judge like, we got to go into recess. Recess 30 minutes. The jury just like, because literally the box is so close to them that they can reach out and probably touch him.
No kidding.
Yeah. He just talking like just crazy. Right? So I'm sitting there looking at him, right? And he said he like doing shit like that. Then I smile. My little like, quit fucking smiling. All right. Now another thing too, right? When you go to trial, especially when you're facing serious charges, you have the right to dress nice. Either your family can bring you clothing, or they have to give you a voucher. And the reason why is because if you go in there wearing a jumpsuit, that can bias the jury.
Gotcha.
It makes you like a criminal. So I was clean as a motherfucker. Clean as fuck. My family looked out for me. I was clean. I was very shocked that they got my sizes right because I lost 50 pounds when I was in there in about 10 months. I was out in there 10 months. I was clean. But the point I'm trying to make to you is I had to wear two things, and this is crazy. On my right leg, I had to wear this brace that every time you straighten your leg, it locks so you can't run. On my left leg, I had to wear a shock pack taped around my leg up under my clothes. And there was this deputy. I will say his name. His name was Deputy Schmuck. He had this fucking radioactive fucking signal, and it had two buttons on it, right? One of them, it'll warn you, and the other one, if you push it, it'll shock you so fucking bad that anything that's in you coming out is gonna make you shit on yourself, piss on you, everything. It's so powerful that they make you sign this fucking paper, and even if you don't sign it, they still put it on you because I'm like, I'm not signing that. So every day when I went to trial, I had to wear these two fucking things on my legs when I went because I guess they thought that I was gonna get convicted or whatever. I was made to look stupid and made to even admit that he was lying. Um, because he made him finally admit that he was lying and said that the police told him to say that or whatever. Um, After that, that's when I took the stand and they asked me a bunch of questions. How old am I? Do I have children? How many brothers and sisters I have? They just asked you at first like general questions just to see like where your mind is at and shit. Pretty much, he told me everything that the prosecutor was gonna ask me, and it worked out good. The only thing that I didn't like is that when it's time for closing arguments, it's not fair because the prosecution, they get to go, the defense get to go, and then the prosecution get to go. But I knew kind of that I was gonna be okay because after the last words, um, they was like, I seen one of the jurors. She just looked at me. She was like, and I kind of knew because the evidence that they had on me, they could prove that I was there, but you couldn't prove or disprove what I said. And every time I was asked about the situation, I said the same exact story. I said once he shot, I ran. I said I told him beforehand that
I'm out.
I'm out. Um, and things like that. Now, there's another part to this story. I kind of forgot. There's two parts to it. So now, when I told them what happened after listening to the advice of my mom, um, I was fucking starving hungry, and they was feeding me a fucking bag lunch. And while they was feeding the shit, I was telling them what happened, but I was so fucking hungry that the way I was telling them, it wasn't looking like I really gave a fuck about the person who had lost their life. Because I'm like, yeah, that shit was crazy. I'm just steady eating because I'm hungry. Because in there, they don't feed you enough. That's number one. The food is disgusting. They don't give you enough. And I was starving, fucking hungry. It was probably like about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and I probably hadn't ate probably since like 4 or 5 o'clock the night before and shit. So I'm just smashing this shit, and this is something I actually will eat. It was a brownie, it was a bologna sandwich. I ate bologna at the time, so I'm some Doritos and shit. I was fucking that shit up, like. So my lawyer convinced the judge that when they play that tape to the jury to cover it up so they couldn't really see what I was doing, because my body motions and shit, even though they could still hear what I was saying and it still was sounding fucked up, they couldn't see you know, the way I was interacting with them, and it kind of looked like I didn't really give a fuck or whatever. So,
So is this where you're telling us about that extra camera? Remember you said remember
mhm,
about the hidden camera? Is
mhm,
this what you're talking
mhm,
about?
mhm, because look, when we right before I went to trial, he told me to watch this tape because again, this was probably like 9 or 10 months after this happened. So I kind of forgot everything that I literally did or said. You know what I mean? After a while, it all becomes like a blur. So what he told me was, he was like, I need you to go watch this tape so when they ask you this question, so you know what the fuck you're talking about. But I refused to do it because I didn't want them to play the tape in front of these police officers. This is another story, but it's during my trial. They were saying some racist shit, and I didn't want them to see what I was saying and shit. And me and him got into an argument about that. But come to find out, once I did watch it when nobody else was around, he told me. Now you know how we always say that lawyers, prosecutors, and judges, they all friends in cahoots. That shit's true. So hold on, somebody texting me. So
Which could be good or bad depending on what side you on, right?
right. So come to find out, the reason why she allowed that is because they had past relations, and I'll tell you about that here in a minute, right? So after the final deliberations and shit, I mean the final words, he said his little bullshit, and the prosecutor kind of lied on me a little bit and shit. So um, they took me back to the holding cell. My family went back home. The jury deliberated for like 2 hours, which is pretty quick. He told me that he was like, "Oh Reggie, I tried to do the best I could for you, but you wouldn't take the deal. She's gonna have to max you out. Whatever you get convicted of, you have to get the most. And the reason why is because they feel like you're wasting the taxpayers' money by making this trial go this long. Because my trial was like 2 weeks. He's like, whatever you get, you're gonna get the most." I said, I told him, I'm like, well, if I have to, I'll just do it all over again. I said, if I have to come back on appeal, that's just what I'm gonna have to do. I said, but I'm not gonna never say in my life that I did some shit that I did not fucking do. Period. Now, also, I forgot the fact that I know that he didn't take the money because in the trial they had a Ziploc bag with $247 and two crack rocks in it and two cell phones, and that was the boy shit that he had on him. So they was like, count one, complicity to aggravated murder, not guilty. Count two, complicity to aggravated murder, not guilty. Count three, complicity to aggravated robbery, not guilty. And it was just, I don't know what the fuck. This dude just looked at me like, Reggie, you going home? Listen, so there was this one. particular police officer, like I was telling you, that I didn't want to watch that tape in front of because he was saying racist shit. And me and him had got to arguing after he was saying racist stuff to me, and he was telling me when I get convicted, he was going to be the person that rides me out to Lorraine. What that means is that when people get sent to prison in Ohio, the first place they go to is Lorraine, and he was the driver. So he said, when you get convicted, I'm going to be the one to ride you out to Lorraine. Now, when they read you your deliberation or whatever, they bring a whole bunch of deputies into the courtroom just in case you start arguing and fighting and shit. Basically, to whoop your ass. They brought the county prosecutor in there. They got the head sheriff. They brought all kind of police officers and shit in there. And after I got fucking acquitted, I cussed his ass the fuck out so bad. I called him every fucking bitch that I could, and I told him, I dare you to zap me with that fucking thing. I said, I dare. I said, I dare anyone of y'all to touch me. I said, because come tomorrow, I bet you I go the fuck home. I said, I'm going the fuck home. I'm going home. I'm going home. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm going home. He said, no, you ain't. You're still on the APA hole. I said, I wouldn't give a fuck if you held me here till January. I told you wasn't taking me to Lorraine. I told you. So I couldn't go home, like he said, because I had that APA hold and I couldn't go to court until the next day in front of the same judge. Right? So they took me back to the county jail. They didn't even give my family time to come back to read my deliberation or nothing. So I had to call my mom and tell her that I'm coming home the next day. I still had to spend the night in the county jail. I said, I don't know why y'all treating me like an animal at this point. I said, you might as well take these shackles off me right now. I said, because you know, just like I know, just like every fucking body know on earth, I'm going home tomorrow. So look, they took me back to the county. It was about like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I told every fucking body, and it was all over the news, right? So around 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, I'm in my cell. I'm just thinking about how I'm going home. I'm giving all my shit away in my room. I got 4 and 5 t-shirts, brushes, all kind of bullshit. I'm like, here, you can have this, you can have this, giving all that shit away, right? So my door rolls like around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. Boom, opens. I'm like, who the fuck is here to see me? So the deputy was like, your lawyer's here to see you. And it was Dave. So I got on the elevator. I went downstairs, right? I see him, his shirt buttoned all the way down here, and he got a whole like suit shirt on, tie all twisted around his back, hair sticking up like this in every fucking direction. And he sees me, and guess what he says to me? And this is a where is he from? What's the name of that damn country? His family is Lebanese. Guess what he says to me?
Mm.
My nigga. Listen, he drunk as a skunk. He like, Reggie, you know you're fucking going home, man. You're going fucking home, man. You're going home, you know you're fucking going home. I'm like, yeah, man. He like, man, oh my God, man, I'll be down there tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, man. You're going home. You're going home. It's like, man, I got this $600 bottle of fucking wine. I'm in my motherfucking convertible. He's like, listen, come up to my office tomorrow. Every fucking body wants to meet you, man. It's going down tomorrow, man. I said, listen, Dave. I said, look, you know that case that I got to go to court for tomorrow don't even got nothing to do with you. He's like, has that motherfucker ever done anything for you in your fucking life? I'm like, no. He said, yeah, motherfucker, I'll be down there tomorrow, man. I'm coming to fucking get you, man. Everybody wants to meet you, man. My wife wants to meet you. Now, during this time, they was working on my case so hard that his wife actually came to my trial.
No way.
She thought he was cheating on her.
No way. Because that's how much time he was putting in.
So look,
Wow.
there's another thing. There's some other shit I'm forgetting. I left out. Right. So when I got acquitted, the prosecutor, he started banging on the table. He like, no, he's guilty. The family, they like, that's all right. We're gonna kill this motherfucker. Hell yeah, we're gonna kill you. So look, I get back when I'm talking to Dave, right, when he came to see me, he said, "Listen, when we was in the elevator, you know that they told me that they gonna kill you, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I seen him." He's like, "Yeah, they for real." He's
Who's
like,
they?
"The boy's family."
What?
Yeah,
Why?
because they feel like I was involved with they family getting killed.
I mean, wow.
So the next day, again, I had to spend the night again. I couldn't go home. I had to go to court first thing in the morning. I had to go back in front of that same judge.
Now,
Um,
what was this for? This was for what?
because I was in there for a probation violation for that case. That case was a probation violation for the gun case.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
So I had to go to court about it.
okay.
So I knew I still was gonna go home because you can't say I violated because I gotta quit it.
Right. Okay. I'm following
So,
you.
so again, they took me down there again with them fucking shackles on, cutting my ankles all up and my wrists all up. I'm like, man, I don't know why y'all doing this shit. You know you're gonna have to let me out. So go over there again. I apologize for having that outburst in her court. I said, listen, I'm sorry for having this outburst in your court. But I just was overwhelmed and shit or whatever. Now I'm forgetting one other thing too. So one thing he told me too when he was drunk, he said, "Now Reggie, you know how I got them to let me cover up the tape up the TV screen when you made your confession?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Guess why she did that?" This is what he said verbatim.
Uh oh.
He said, "Cause I hit that." Listen, he said that shit.
I knew this was
I
coming.
said, "Oh my god, I
I
can't
knew
believe
that was coming
you hit
somewhere.
that old lady." I'm just thinking to myself, like, "Oh my god." But he said it was in college and shit. I'm like, "Oh man, that shit was funny as fuck, man." And so,
I Lebanese dude. Wild, ain't he?
fried.
Wild in the community.
Yeah, he is. So then after that, they took me back to the county again. I probably went upstairs for like an hour or two. Next thing you know, I heard my door roll. Pow! They was like, "You're out of here," and it was like, "You'll be back." I said, "Listen, the only way you gonna catch me come back in this motherfucker is either driving with no license or drunken driving." I said, "That's the only way you ever gonna catch me coming back in this motherfucker, right?" So I got all my shit, called my friends and family. I had two rides sitting out for me, but he told me to come up to his office when I got out so he can get paid. I had to sign some paper for him to get paid. So I had my friend take me up there to his office and shit. He introduced me to every fucking body in there. And he had like 40 people that work for him, and these people taking pictures with me and shit, hugging me and shit. I don't even know none of these motherfuckers, right? But they're like, "Yeah, this is the one that y'all was helping me work on this case and shit." He did introduce me to his kids. I done met all kind of people. So I go up to his office. I sign this piece of paper. He like, "Hold on real quick." He answers the call. He's like, "Hello." Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Just come by at 4 o'clock. All right. Click. He said, "You know, I just made more money for that phone call than I am for you right now, right?" I said, "What you want me to do? You the one decided to do it." So for that murder case, he got $5,000 for that shit. All that work.
I was just gonna say that's not. That's trash for that.
And this man is a millionaire. Wait till we get off here and I tell you who I'm talking about. You're gonna be like, "I know that motherfucker was mad as hell that chump change." But
But that was the catalyst that put him where he needed to be, right?
absolutely, listen. To this day, this is my dude. He called me all the time, right? Let him get drunk and start bragging in front of his friends. He will call me in a second. He like, "Reggie, tell these motherfucker who the man is." You have his kids call me. "Tell these motherfuckers what I did." All the time. Listen, I see him. I see him out in the street. I see him out in the street with his little bougie friends. I'll be damn near ready to kiss him in the mouth. I always hug him like, "That motherfucker saved my fucking life." I make sure I tell everybody every chance I see his ass. Every time I get into any type of situation, any legalities, man, quit playing with me. I will get fucking Dave on your ass. All my friends that personally know me, that know who he is, look at this motherfucker like God. I'm telling you, for real, for real. Anybody that know me and know the situation, they gonna be like, Reggie, well, why don't you ask Dave? Can you help me? Shit, that's your dude. I'll be like, man, listen, that man's serious about his bread. He's not about to.
I know you better pay that man.
Right? You
Yeah,
want
he'll help you.
you want the results
Because
I got? You gonna have to pay. Shit,
yeah,
the price didn't went up.
I
The
could hook
fuck?
you up with some time, but you're gonna have to pay for it.
Yeah, I'll tell him to do the best that he can for you, but I can't. Yeah,
Right.
you don't get the Reggie discount. The fuck?
You had to
But
go through some shit to get that, bruh.
man, see some shit. But yeah, yeah, that's the shit I went through. Um, Rest in peace to all the people that lost their life. Um, I'm sorry to the family again. If it was anything I could have did to prevent it, I would have. I tried. I told him not to do it. Um, I lost everything from it. Everything I had, I lost it. Came home to nothing. Baby mom gone. Kid gone. Everything gone. So it was rough.
You and not to mention just your whole reputation,
Hmm.
um, all that.
Right. Had to
So
go
when
into
you
hiding, all kind of shit.
did you really?
Hell yeah.
Did you find it hard to like get back into civilization, like just trying to get a job, just trying to gain people's trust, all that kind of bullshit?
Absolutely, for several different reasons. Number one, that shit made me weird as fuck for
Did
a
it?
long. And people told me for a long time, like, bro, you tripping. You was tripping for a long time. It traumatized me because all the shit I went through going through it. Also, my birthday passed. I didn't have no ID for years from that. I had no driver's license for years from that. My child support lapse. It was rough. At first, again, like I was telling you from the beginning, it had made me real religious or whatever. So I had kind of stopped drinking and shit for a little bit, but after about 2 months or so, it was worse than ever.
Oh, for real?
For years and years and years and years,
So
probably at least about 10 more years.
really,
Hmm.
just trying to drown out, just trying to drown out all the trauma.
Yeah, and plus, shit, it was fun. That's what my family do, especially my family from Pennsylvania. That's what we do.
Okay. And so, what made you decide to stop doing it?
I knew ever since then I needed to quit. I tried to quit on my own several times, but I couldn't. So what made me just say fuck it is that's a whole nother story. You can have a whole stream about that. But I just knew it was time. I couldn't get right. I couldn't even listen. My insurance was $89 a month, and I couldn't pay for it because I chose to drink. I had two jobs and couldn't pay rent in Youngstown, $300. I just got tired of being a fucking bum. I got tired of people. Oh, you cool, but don't come over here drinking. Like it just was. It just was a terrible thing. It just was a very, very terrible thing. So I had to stop. I probably would be dead by now. I'm very surprised I didn't get in no car accidents or nothing like that, or more DUIs than what I had. But it was time. I needed to quit. I
Did
can't
you
stop.
did you gain any of your weight back?
So when I was at my biggest from drinking, I was about 240 pounds.
Wow.
Once I stopped, I went down to like 180. Well, when I got out of jail, I weighed 180. Then I gained it back gradually over years. I got back up to like 235, 240 right before I went to rehab 6 years ago. Then I went back to 180. Now I'm like around 210.
Okay.
So,
And feeling good.
right.
Whatever happened to the chick?
Oh, shit. She gone. She married now.
Oh, okay. She didn't get no time or nothing like that.
Oh, no. You talking about, no, no. You talking about the girl that was involved with the story? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, she took a deal for 8 years. She did six. The other person, the guy that testified on me, he took a deal for eight, did eight. The shooter later on, um, took a deal for 13 years, did his 13, got out. The guy that testified on me, he's been back several times.
So story is, don't take them plea deals. Just be honest, right?
I ain't gonna say be honest because again, I definitely lied, but
But your lie wasn't about. I mean, it was a lie, but it really wasn't. Well, all you had to do was add a couple words.
a lie's
Say
a
you
lie.
say you said this.
Now, if it was all over again, knowing what I know now, you put my hand on the Bible, I would be crying, laughing at your ass. I'll put both of them on and repeat. That's like putting that on this that fucking bill. But that shit, I ain't gonna make nobody tell the truth. Nobody. If that book can make you tell the truth, something wrong with you. Hmm?
Well, I don't be doing that anyway, bro.
Yeah, I don't be doing shit. The book is a fucking lie. But yeah, it was rough. It definitely opened my eyes. After that, I mean, like I said, I still was kicking it, but I wasn't out here doing all that shit, like going hard like that, and trying to, hit no licks or no shit like that. I don't do that shit. That ain't for me. And anybody to do that, weak as fuck.
All right. So you got anything else you want to add? Are you ready to end?
Mm, catch me on Friday on Product the 80s podcast. This one gonna be good. This one gonna be good. It's gonna be about the Quad City studio shooting of Tupac. Make sure you check that out. It's gonna probably be Friday at about 8 o'clock. Um, Sunday, catch me on my show around 11:30, 12 o'clock. Faith, Lies, and Confusion. I don't know what the topic is about. It's educational. It's about religion. You can catch me on my YouTube page at GodlessReggie. Capital G, capital L, capital R.
I will have all those links in the description so y'all can make sure times and days. So y'all make sure y'all tune into that. And we out.
Good night.
Deuces.